Drum for the Song podcast.
Welcome to episode 9 of Drum for the Song podcast. I am your host, Dane Campbell. Today's guest is Gordon Morison from Raging Speedhorn. If you've not heard Raging Speedhorn before, a lot of people define them as being a heavy metal band, but you'll hear later in the interview why Gordon disagrees with that to some degree. Gordon explains what it was like in the early days, touring around the country for years with Raging Speedhorn, living off £2 per day. When the band started getting a bit bigger, he also has some great stories about what it was like touring with Slipknot and why Corey Taylor liked them so much. He also explains why Skindred were one of the best bands to tour with and what it was like recently touring with Phil Anselmo. Gordon's band, Raging Speedhorn, were well known for loving a party, and he also has a great story about how they ended up getting arrested in Spain while they were on tour with Biohazard. Nowadays, he spends a lot more time at home with his family, but he still goes on tour with Raging Speedhorn. He has a van company, and he drives and tour manages and does merch and various other jobs for bands occasionally. So he also describes the differences and similarities touring as part of the band and as a part of the road crew. And I found this really interesting because I've only ever been on tour as part of a band. Gordon also tells us a bit about his drum collection, including his favourite Premier kit, and he also tells us about a whopping 26-inch ride cymbal that he's got. We also chat a little bit about the new album from Raging Speedhorn called Hard to Kill. We found out why they're releasing it on their own label this time. But before we get to the interview, I just wanted to make sure you're all following me on social media. If you're on Facebook, you can search for Dane Campbell Drummer, and there's also a Drum for the Song official Facebook group on there that you can join. If you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can follow my personal account, Dane_drums, or preferably you can follow Drum for the Song. After the interview, I'll talk a little bit about my Patreon page. It's where you can sign up and you can gain access to exclusive content like bonus episodes, a monthly Q&A session with me, and loads of other cool things. So make sure you listen at the end. Whether you've just discovered this podcast or whether you've listened to a few episodes, please make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening, whether that's YouTube or Spotify or Apple or Acast or any of the others. And if it lets you, see if you can leave me a like or a comment or a review. That would be amazing. And please share with anyone else you think might be interested in these podcasts. But for now, let's get to the interview with Gordon.
Drum for the Song podcast.
So hi guys, this is Drum for the Song podcast. I'm here with Gordon Morison from Raging Speedhorn. Great band. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, can't complain. It's it's being locked down in Caerphilly, as you know.
Yes.
One little fun fact for the listeners is that me and Gordon actually live in the same town or village. Is it a village or a town? I don't know.
I don't know. Probably a town, really.
Yeah, it's probably a town. But I wouldn't normally like to do this over the internet, but we're not allowed in each other's houses right now. So we're resorting to this. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's a very strange time.
Yeah,
at the minute.
Very strange. But
yeah,
we're all dealing with it as much as we possibly can, but they're making it difficult for us, aren't they, Gord?
I know, very difficult. Very difficult at the minute, but I mean, things seem to be picking up, and then it's all gone pear-shaped again.
Yeah.
But as long as we're all safe, I suppose that's all that matters.
Exactly, man.
But I mean, we've had because obviously my little girl goes to the nursery, and we got a phone call the other day, 2 weeks ago now, saying that a kid in her class had COVID, so we had to bring her home and not let her outside the house for 14 days, which trying to explain to a 3-year-old why she can't go out is a bit hard.
Yeah, that is hard actually. So is she aware of the virus?
Sort of. I mean, yeah, she is to a point, but you know,
You don't want to give
telling
it too
her
much.
that she can't go out.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've got a nice garden, but I mean, it's just a bit. Why can't I go to school? Why can't I go to nursery? All of that kind of thing. Because I mean, a 3-year-old doesn't want to be around adults all the
No,
time.
that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point, man. Ah, well, I'm
But
sure she'll be back in soon enough, hopefully.
she's back in now,
Ah, cool.
so
Ah,
which is
nice.
great.
Yeah.
Good for everybody.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So
Yeah.
this is so start about talking about your drumming then. So how did you originally get into drumming, and how old were you, etc.?
I think I was quite a late sort of. I started on bass really because I don't know. I don't know why. I think it was more sort of Nirvana-esque kind of stuff. Sort of started me wanting to play, but I think it was that typical thing of I want to be a guitarist. No one wants to be a drummer. So,
Yeah.
do you want to try and play drums? And I sort of just picked it up sort of from there, and I just started really liking the drums more than anything else, really. And
Nice.
I quite like being at the back. I don't really like being a front person, but yeah, it just sort of all stemmed from sort of, I think, sort of the sort of Brit pop kind of stuff into sort of the grungy kind of sort of scene. Made me want to start playing more and more. But asking my dad and my mum constantly, can I have a drum kit, and getting no
Yeah.
for a long time. No, because I was one of these people who I didn't have much of an attention span. So
Right.
my dad was like, no, because I'll buy you one, and it'll just sit in the corner with you not wanting to play it at all. And then finally I got a drum kit, and that
Nice.
was that really.
So
Started from
how
there.
nice. How old were you when you had the first drum kit, you think?
I think I must have been about 14 or
Okay.
15, I think, because our singer Frank, who's like my best friend, we've grown up, so I've just always known him. He was like the best drummer in our town.
Right.
He was unbelievable, and I was like, oh, luckily he was sort of around, but he was too cool at that point. I mean, we're both the same age, but he was with the cool people that,
Uh,
he was like this cool musician what everybody wanted to hang around with, and I was this little dweeby dude who was just going in. There was this place called a McDermott Hall. It was basically because there was nothing really in our town, so it was
so
where
what?
all the
So what?
musicians sort of. Sorry,
What town was it? Sorry.
in Corby.
Corby. Yeah, just to put
Yeah,
that out
so
there.
it's like this sort of community sort of place where once a week all these kids or musicians would sort of go to this place, and there was this one cool dude with this really nice drum kit, but he would never let anybody play on it. So we'd have to play on the rubbish kits. But yeah, that's sort of how I sort of got into playing and knowing people.
Nice.
Because it's quite a cliquey sort of town where we come from. So it's like you've got to get in with them cool dudes, or you've got no chance in hell of doing anything.
Yeah. Well, you did well. You did well to get in with them, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was because me and John and Tony, the old guitarist and old singer, we started this band. So I think that, and then we did like a demo, and that these cooler bands sort of heard it and was like, oh, we should do a gig with these guys. And that was like we were sort of in with the cool dudes then.
Nice. So what band was that?
It was a band called Box, and it was more like, it was like sort of Silverchair meets Deftones. It was
Nice.
the weirdest sort of, because like me and John and Tony were heavily into like Silverchair. We loved Silverchair. Still do, to be fair.
Yes.
But that was the first band I ever went to see live as well, on a Freak Show tour.
Nice. Nice.
And that was sort of, I was listening to the demos the other day, and it's just so funny how much it sounds like Silverchair.
Really?
Yeah. But it was sort of that, and then we went to see Deftones, and it sort of started to get onto the heavier side, and I think that was sort of it. And we only did like two shows, and then we sort of started talking to Frank and the other guys in his band about doing another band, and then sort of that came Raging Speedhorn.
Oh, nice. So Raging Speedhorn started when you were, well, you were still a teenager?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
probably 18 when
oh,
it
very cool.
started. And then we were signed by, I think I was 20 when we sort of
Wow.
signed the deal. So it sort of, well, we got signed, but then it didn't really all sort of, I remember when we were going down for these meetings and our manager was saying, like, what do you want to do with the band? And we said, but we just want to tour. Because obviously we didn't really know what, like, John was 15 when like we got
Right.
signed. 15, 16, 17. But like when we first got a manager, so we had to wait till Tony John was about 16 when we started, 16, 17 when we started touring. But our manager was like, there's 2 tents. There's a lot, because obviously back then internet wasn't this big thing.
Yeah.
There's a load of tour dates that go off and just tour. And every couple of weeks we'd get like some more dates mailed in the post. So we'd just be like, okay. And we were just on tour for probably, 4 or 5 years, constantly on tour.
That's amazing, man.
Probably 3 of them years was just playing to nobody, like going to like a place and them going, can we have some water? Or you're not a Saturday band, so you don't get any water.
You don't get water.
Like, honestly, it was like, it was so bad. We didn't get anything. It was just, and we got £2 a day to live off of each.
£2. £2.
Yeah, that was our PDs. So
God.
We had to buy sort of everything with that, which is, luckily, I mean, our manager did buy us a van and I do to drive us around, which was awesome. So but obviously that was coming out of our money later on down the line. But so that was sort of, we just did that for years before anything sort of started to happen, really.
So what was the turning point when you actually started playing to people, I suppose? Was it like gradually build up, or did you get a break?
It was like, well, it just went from, to me, it felt like it went from 0 to a big sort of thing really quickly. We went on tour, we got like a tour with a band called Earth Toe 9.
Yeah, I know
like
that.
A Crown sort of tour, and then it just sort of went from there to playing with Will Haven, and then we went to Europe. And then when we were in Europe, we got the Ozfest date, Milton Keynes Bowl. And after that, it just sort of went a bit crazy from then on in.
I can imagine.
It just went insane for like, and I don't think we were quite ready for that, really, because we weren't a band what we never thought would go past what we started doing. We never wanted to. That's the problem. I think that was the big thing, is we always wanted to be this underground band. We never wanted to be like this big sort of, well, to be fair to the band we became, we never really wanted that to happen.
Wow.
Which is quite strange in a way.
Yeah, because normally a band would have some form of aspiration to become something.
Well, I think what it was is because we came from such a small, it's a bit like the towns that, like, not slagging the valleys off because I live in the valleys, but it's like that thing of you don't really think you're ever going to get out of that sort of, and we were sort of in that mentality of we don't really care, we're doing it for us, we just want to be loud and noisy and annoy people. And it sort of, and it was quite strange when it all started doing quite well, and especially back, it's quite weird to explain it to people, but like when we started doing well, there weren't this big sort of Facebook thing, so all people heard about it from you was from Krang magazine, or so like we'd end up having kids. Well, I did have kids outside my house instead. Like, it was insane for a while with Speedhorn. Wow. And I just weren't sort of ready for that kind of craziness, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I guess no one is ready for stuff like that to happen.
No.
It just sounds like it did happen fairly quickly then. Obviously,
Yeah,
you worked hard though. You worked hard at it at the start.
yeah. But
Well, you were.
I mean, from the time we started touring till we sort of had a break in 2000. We never stopped touring. We were just on tour constantly, and then we sort of wanted some time off. But then three of us started another band. I mean, and we were on tour with that all the time. So I didn't really ever have any time off of touring
No.
at all until I completely finished touring when I was like 29. I thought I just need some time off.
Yeah.
From when I was 18, 19 till I was 29, I was just touring constantly on tour.
Insane. That's mental,
Yeah,
man. Well,
it's cool, but it does take its toll on you. I
oh,
think
totally. Yeah.
touring like that.
I think it's obviously amazing, and like, we're lucky that we get to do it for a living.
Yeah,
But some
yeah,
people don't realize how hard work it actually is,
yeah, yeah,
and the physical toll and the mental toll and
yeah.
fatigue and everything that comes with it.
I remember like being on tour and having a diary, and I'd be counting down the days till I got home, and I
Yeah.
thought to myself, this is getting too much for me. Like I just think it really got to me for a while.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, I just want to be at home. Because when I moved to Cardiff, I literally weren't there for a good few years. I'd sort of flitter backwards and forwards, but then I'd be coming back, and then I'd be on tour with my other band, and then that tour would stop, and then I'd be out with Speedhorn, and then we'd be out with both bands. We'd be like flying in to do one show, flying back to the UK to do a show, flying back out to go start that tour again with Speedhorn. So it was insane. I just didn't know where I was.
No, I can
Know,
imagine, man. So
it was a bit crazy, but it was. I mean, it was. Thinking back now, I do think to myself, I wish I'd embraced it a bit more and not moaned too much
no.
about things. But
Yeah, like I guess appreciated what you had.
yeah,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think I appreciate it more now than what we do now, and that it's on such a smaller scale than what it. But I really appreciate everything now. Where when I was young, it got to a point where we were just doing all these big festivals and shows all the time that it just became the norm of
Yeah.
what was happening. So it was just you didn't really think about, oh yeah, you're doing this massive festival in Japan or whatever, and you'd be like, oh okay. And it would just be like, oh yeah, we're just going to Japan.
It's
It
amazing,
weren't like
man.
a big thing. It just became like the thing we were to be doing on a yearly basis, and it's quite silly, really. Where I remember my dad going, just enjoy it where you can. I was like, what's he on about?
Oh man, but yeah, well, he had a point, really. Especially, I didn't realize.
Definitely did.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been, not to diss any what I class as like regular jobs, because a lot of people who are in regular jobs are a lot more secure than musicians, especially right now. But
Yeah,
you could have. You obviously worked your ass off touring, but the
yeah,
places you got to see, and I'm sure you met loads of cool people, and
yeah.
you know,
It's a bit insane when you think about it. Like Corey Taylor was on this James Acaster thing the other day, and Corey was asking James about, oh, have you ever been on a tour bus? And James was like, I've been on Raging Speedhorn's tour bus. And then next week he's like, oh my God, I'm really good friends with them guys. It's just like, to me, that's insane to think that he even remembers who we are.
yeah, exactly. Well,
Considering
yeah.
we haven't spoke to him for a while.
So
It's,
what was the story there? Did you tour with Slipknot, or
yeah, we did a European tour
well,
with him on their, I think it was their second record, just before it came out, and then we
wow.
were just doing we were basically on festival circuits with him for probably a year and a half, and then Corey would bring us out with Stone Sour, and do some shows with them, and we did some stuff out in America with what's the Joey's back? Is it Murder Dolls?
Murder Dolls, yeah.
We did some stuff
Oh,
with
wow.
them out in the States. So it was quite cool because we got really friendly with them. So they'd take us out quite a lot on different things, which was awesome. It's just a different world, that mad sort of, especially Slipknot world. Back then it was crazy,
Well,
crazy times.
it still is. I'd say they up there with like probably one of the top 10 biggest metal
Yeah.
bands or rock bands in the world,
Probably one of
really.
the biggest metal bands. I'd say they're the biggest metal band now
Yeah.
of our generation, anyway.
Oh, definitely. Obviously, you've got
Definitely.
Metallica and stuff, but
Yeah,
they're up there, man. They're headlining all the festivals, and
yeah. It's
it's insane.
a bit insane if you like just thinking that you. I don't really think of. That's the thing with us, is we never really thought about that kind of stuff. It'd be like, oh, we get a message, a phone call off our manager. Oh, you going on tour with Slipknot? But oh, that's cool. It'd be like, we wouldn't be sitting there high fiving each other. We'd be like, because we weren't really into that kind of music anyway. We
Right.
sort of come from that sort of DIY kind of punk rock kind of bands that we always thought, oh fucking hell, don't want to go on tour with them,
Yeah.
but we'll have to. And then, but the thing is I've realised now is the bands you never think you're ever going to get on with, you get on with really, really well, because they're exactly, especially Slipknot, because they sort of come from the same background as what we all come from.
Yeah.
Like, come from nothing, became like this big band. And I think that's how we all got on really well, is they were just crazy, and we sort of bought into that as well, because they had so much money. They'd give us money to do stupid stuff, and we'd be like, yeah, okay, we'll just do it. And they were like, these guys are crazy, like they'll just do anything for like money. You know, and we would.
Well, have you got any specific funny stories then about
that? They'd like piss in glasses and say, drink this, and you'd be like, all right, just drink it. And just so like, we sort of came, they were like, they're just as mad as we are, you know, like they're up for anything.
Yeah.
And we just got on really, really well. The first time we met him, they were a bit shitty with us.
Really?
And just because no one knew who they looked like.
That's
so we
true,
sort of rolled in and they were sound checking, and the clown just threw some stuff at us and told us to get out. And we were like, well, and let's get in that attitude of, oh, fuck them, like who cares, like don't matter.
Yeah.
And then we did a few shows, we flew back home and we flew back out, and the tour manager came into our dressing room and said, so I think it's Sean, the clown.
I think it's Sean. Yeah.
He wants you to come up and watch us at the side of the stage. And we were just like, I don't want to watch them. And he just started laughing and sort of walked out. And we went up and watched like a song. We're like, yeah, it's all right. Like, it's not our kind of thing. He sort of walked off. I think Corey sort of got like heard from the grapevine, like we'd done that, and he thought that was amazing. Because back then, well, even now, everyone was just wanting, like, kissing his ass big time anyway, Corey.
Yeah.
And we just didn't really care about all of that. So I think that was the one good thing they loved about us, is we weren't trying to be their best friends.
Yeah, you weren't like brown nosers and stuff
definitely
like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In the slightest. So I think that's why they liked us, you know. It sort of came across like that anyway. So it was, yeah, so when we hung out, we were just hanging out. We weren't like, oh, it must be amazing being in Slip. We were just like, yeah, just talking about silly things and having a good laugh. And I mean, that's what bands want to do. They don't want to sit there with people kissing their ass every 5 minutes.
Totally,
you know?
exactly, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you get it, is like quite a bit. I'm sure
I don't know.
Dad gets it quite a bit.
No,
you know,
he's probably had it a lot. Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, even like, you know, it's one of them things, you just don't want it all the time.
Yeah, it's nice for people to say nice things, and if like the music and be complimentary, but you know,
yeah,
I only really want you to say that if that's what you think.
Exactly.
If you don't like this, I don't want you to pretend that you do.
No.
I'd rather you be real with us, you know.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why we got on with Benji from Skindred, because at first I said to him I didn't like Skindred.
Really?
Yeah, because we were on tour with him, and I was like, oh, I don't really like it. I've got to admit, I think you're rubbish. And the drummer at the time, Ginger, he was like, oh, come here, let's go and have a drink. And it was just that thing of, oh, this guy ain't trying to kiss our ass.
Yeah, you're just a straight talking
yeah,
guy.
And that's amazing. And we became friends after that, you know.
Brilliant.
But I think that's what we're all about, really, is just not trying to be. I mean, we did some shows with Phil Anselmo this last year And instantly he walked in the room and he's like, our singer is one of his heroes. And our singer instantly started taking the mick out of him.
Really?
Yeah, and it was that thing. You could see him going, cheeky, that's well out of order. But then he sort of quite liked it because we weren't trying to be.
Oh, Phil, I love you. I love you, Phil. I love you, Phil. Yeah.
I mean, like, we even asked him about that whole racist thing and all that sort of stuff. We just sort of asked him about it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, there's no point sort of.
Yeah, shying away from it.
Oh my God, the backlash we got from doing them shows anyway,
Because people associated you with supporting an accused racist.
Yeah, I think it was because he's an accused racist more than anything. Because I said to the boys, look, if you don't want to do it, it's fine. Like, don't worry. But I'd like to do it.
Yeah.
And everybody just came back going, nah, fuck him. Like, let's do it. I want to do it. And you don't know what's been said or what's not been said at the end of the day.
Exactly.
You've got to take. I think you've got to take people on face value. And if he's really nice, and he seemed really nice to other people of an ethnic group, he seemed fine. So I haven't got any. I can't really say that he's an asshole or anything like that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I remember skimming over something about it, but to be honest, I've never really looked into it. I'm not a fan, to be honest, so
no,
it's not the kind of thing I've really been that bothered about. Obviously, if he has said things and people are 100% certain, maybe that's not cool, obviously.
No,
but
it's it was a strange. So we sort of just asked about it.
So did he admit to anything then, or
no? It's a weird one. He sort of did,
right?
But he blamed it on just because he's on a lot of medication and stuff, and he had to do this thing. He didn't want to be there. He was drinking a lot, and it all went a bit pear-shaped, But the thing is, we live in a totally different world to what them kind of people live in.
Yeah.
So I think he said something I think he said it in all. I don't know. I think he said something.
Yeah, and he just
didn't want to be there. And he said which is probably what happened. Is someone was shouting stuff about Dimebag to him, trying to antagonize him, and he just lost the plot, and it all went to shit. And that's what happened, really. That's what he told me. So you just got to take it from that sort of perspective.
Yeah.
But he seemed lovely,
Good.
It's just
good band. Was it a good tour? Good crowd?
Band. I don't want to slack him off just in case.
Right.
The band were good. Were okay. He was really. He was great. He was great. In my head, it's like if you're gonna play Pantera songs, you need to play them really well.
Of course, yeah.
The drummer wasn't very good. I got to admit, the drummer wasn't. Where especially, I mean, I like Pantera, but I'm not a massive fan. Where the other boys are.
Right.
They were like, he's not playing that right. He's not doing this right. It was like, but it is what it is. You're never going to get that sound from what they had.
Nah, they do have a unique kind of vibe, don't they? And the way they play together. I've never really studied them in depth because I don't think it's my favorite kind of music. But I've heard a lot of it over the years. And
we played with him in Japan. I think it was one of their last shows. And they were amazing that night.
Wow! It's
just that sort of swagger they've got, where no other bands had that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but they were good. They were good that night. But the other band, they were. I mean, everybody who was there to watch Phil sing some Pantera songs, really.
Yeah. So
which
that's what people are there for. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like people going to see. The old singers from Metallica, Iron Maiden, they're all going to see them sing some of the Maiden song, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're not going to see anything else.
Yeah, well, I bet that's probably what people think about when they come and see our band. They just want to see my old man play some Motorhead songs, and they probably the drummer's not playing the songs right.
But the thing is you're trying to be you're a different. You're not trying to be.
Yeah, we're trying to be our own band.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. You're not
Yeah.
trying to be like Phil playing all Motorhead songs. Like you're
No.
actually bringing new records out.
Yeah.
Where I think I don't know. I think it's different with a singer as well, especially is they want to hear them songs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
I think it's different to
Yeah.
being a guitar. I
You
don't
want to
know.
hear that? Yeah, you want to hear that voice singing those songs, so they sound
Yeah,
familiar. Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah,
But so talking about Raging Speedhorn again,
yeah.
I find it difficult. But how would you describe the sound or the
Oh my
band's
god.
sound? Because it is quite. I had a good listen to like
Yeah,
you on shuffle the other day when I went for a run. It was really good running music,
yeah,
and I was like, this song's like quite punky. This song's like quite bluesy, quite
yeah,
Pantera-y.
yeah,
And then I was like, oh, and then at one point I was like, is this the same band? And I didn't bother checking. I was just running. I was
yeah,
like, I thought maybe it'd gone on to the next band or something.
yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. But how do you describe the sound? See if a listener's listened to this and they've never
Yeah.
heard you, sell the band.
I would say it's like Black Sabbath
Yeah,
with sort of more of a bit more of a punky sort of edge to it. It's definitely that sort of blues element. But yeah, it's definitely like a Black Sabbath mixed with sort of a Black Flag kind of element to it as
that's
well.
that's a good way
Um,
of describing it. Yeah,
Just a wall of noise, really, wall of sound.
very.
I would say it was. But yeah, like it's all the bands we sort of listen to. They're all sort of 70s kind of based, sort of Sabbath, Zeppelin,
Yeah,
kind of sort of very heavily influenced with blues. I would say
yeah,
Cream and all that, which is quite strange for like a band of our era, because obviously there was when we first came out, it was all grunge and new metal, and like we hated new metal.
yeah.
We never listened to that. It was also in the van or on the buses. It was always like Scorpions or like like Priest and all them sort of older bands. We never Hendrix a lot. We used to
Nice.
listen to. But even still now, when we tour, it's all sort of like funk or something like that. We've never really sort of listened to much metal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Weirdly enough, and it's quite strange when people go, "Oh yeah, like they were like the metal sort of saviors at some point." And we're like, "That's so funny," because we never really sort of listened to much like heavy metal.
Yeah.
I hate me and Frank, the original. We hate Slayer.
Is it
Just
really?
yeah. Frank doesn't really like Metallica or anything like that. He's just
Wow.
not into that kind of stuff. It's almost like sort of like Sabbath kind of sort of vibe to it. It's like sleazy rock.
Yeah. It's
That's what
groovy.
I would call us more like a rock band, but with shouty vocals more than anything. Because it's that rock and roll sort of. It's always got that rock and roll element. What we've got, and even the people who have come in and out the band have always been into that sort of music. There's no point bringing a bass player in who's going to play slap bass or something like that. It just wouldn't work. They've all got to be that sort of and have that attitude of what we come from. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely that's the only way I can really describe it.
Yeah, it's mad. Yeah, I just find it quite fascinating then that none of you really listened to metal, yet you produced what people were classing as metal at the time, I guess.
Yeah,
And
there used to be there was a band in the like late night, mid to late 90s called Iron Monkey, and they were like well, they influenced us a lot, but they're heavier than we are, which is they're just really low, like slower and stuff like that. But that's the sort of band where when we started, we're like, we really want to sort of sound like that, sort of just nasty, horrible, like noise. And that's how we started. And obviously, through the years, we've just carved out our own kind of sound. It's the interviews we're getting asked now is sort of, how do you describe yourself? And it's really hard because people say it's your own sound. No one else sounds like you guys.
That's probably what's helped you kind of last this long, I guess, because
Yeah.
you're distinguishable from other bands.
Yeah.
And
But why do you want to sound like Iron Maiden or Metallica? You
yeah.
know, there are bands out there that still do it and do really well out of doing it, but you know, like we didn't want to copy anybody. We wanted to be our own thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think there's like elements of like Motorhead vibe in there as well. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Definitely are.
I think so.
But it's all that sort of all that sort of 70s, so even sort of into glam rock, really. Like,
Really?
it's all, yeah.
Nice.
It's all that sort of kind of, even into 60s, sort of The Who and stuff like that. We're just all into that kind of, the Beatles. And, yeah. Most of all, it's sort of like, even in the van now, it's all like 80s pop and stuff. We don't really listen to metal at all.
Yeah, I know what you mean, actually. It's kind of, at the moment, obviously, I'm not really playing, so I guess I can listen to whatever. But when I am playing quite frequently, I don't really listen to a lot of heavy rock or metal kind of stuff because I'm out there playing it. So I kind of chill out with some more chilled music or like older
You're
stuff.
out playing it and you're surrounded by it all the time.
Yeah, and there's music on in between the bands. There's music on. It's obviously the support band, and normally, obviously, a similar kind of music.
Yeah.
And then you might go out to a bar or a club, and then there's rock music blasting.
Yeah.
Like, I love it when I'm in the mood for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what I do, and but it's nice to have an alternative to reflect on.
Definitely. I honestly think there's a lot of bands, like metal bands and stuff out there. They don't really, they don't want to listen to heavy. Like the last thing I would want to do is play a tour, a show, and then go back into a van or into a bus and listen to heavy music, because you've just played it for an hour and a bit.
Yeah.
You know, you just want to calm down a little bit, I think. You know, from it all.
Yeah.
I mean, like at home, I've got like my record collection's so vast of what I listen to, but it's half the time it's not. I never put on heavy music anymore.
Nah, I think we're just getting old. Maybe that's what it is.
That's probably what it is. I think that's what it is, mate.
So
definitely.
You mentioned a few bands that you've toured with. Have you got a particular favorite or a favorite few bands that you've toured with?
I'd definitely say that, like, the one band which sort of changed our outlook on things was Biohazard. They were the first sort of big, back when we toured with them, they were still quite a big band, playing to like 2,500-3,000 people a night in Europe. And then we did like that for, I think, 6 weeks in Europe into UK, which was, that sort of changed. That was the first time I thought I'm out with a proper band, which is like that sort of rock star sort of attitude, kind of didn't care about anything. If you broke something, it would be paid. You know, that kind of sort of crazy, like, weird stuff going on the bus, girls everywhere,
really
mental things happening, and it was just like, oh, this is insane. Like, I've never been anywhere near this sort of stuff before. It was just nuts, just insane. Like, just, I just can't describe it, because it was sort of, that was like the first major tour we've been on. So we'd only been touring around the UK, and then it was like, we're on this bus, our own bus, like, we're off to Europe with Biohazard, and we were like, oh, this is amazing. And then it just insane.
Mental.
Just, you know, getting sort of arrested and all, like, it's just nuts. It was just.
Well, they were getting arrested, or you were
like, well, there was, because even though we're on these sort of tour buses and stuff, we still didn't have much money.
Yeah.
You know, like, the label was paying for all that stuff, but we didn't have much money to eat or anything like that at that point. So, like, you know, we would have to steal stuff to eat. So it's just like, we remember us all going into this.
Oh my God.
Services, obviously drunk and doing other things, and we stopped, and we all went into this service station, and I just seen this guy looking at us, and I was like, oh fuck, he knows what we're up to. And he closed the door so we couldn't get out. And we were just there going, oh fuck, well, how are we gonna get out? He's like, you're stealing stuff. And we're like, we're not stealing. Like, obviously had money going, come back, we're not. And the next minute, Billy from Biohazard comes running to the doors with a knife, honestly, like this, prizing the doors open, going, come on, boys, hurry up. And we all ran off and got on our buses and sort of drove off. And then we looked back, and our manager used to come out on tour.
Right.
Then he had a manager and a tour manager. And he was like, oh, fuck, there's police behind us. And I was like, oh, they ain't going to be for us. And he's like, no, there's more police. And it ended up being like, probably, honest to God, 10 cop cars behind both buses.
Jesus.
Driving down this motorway. And our tour manager at the time was like, right, whoever does drugs, get downstairs now. And I was like, what's going on? And I went downstairs, and literally everyone was just looked like white, because he'd had so much coke on it.
Oh my God.
Like, we need to get rid of it. So everyone's sort of like, I was going, what's going on? Pulled over stuff. I think I don't know, we didn't get arrested that night, but it was, I think Biohazard sorted it out, so we didn't have to pay any money. But yeah, like, we got arrested in Spain. We just had to spend like 5 days in Spain in the Spanish cell. Yeah.
What? That's insane.
Yeah, with Biohazard and with Amen.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool band.
Yeah. Shannon, who now plays in Godsmack.
Right.
Like, we were on, because we come from the tour Biohazard for 6 weeks and straight out with Amen for another, I think it was like 6 or 7 weeks. So anyway, we hadn't been home, and we found this little English bar in I can't even remember where it was in Spain. And we were in this bar, and the guys from bar and Amen was saying, oh, we're going back to our bus, we want to chill out. And Shannon's quite, I wouldn't say an alcoholic, but he likes to drink.
Right.
I'm going to stay with you guys. And one of the boys said, just keep an eye on him, because he's just crazy when he gets drunk. Okay. So as they walked out, Shannon just came over with this big sort of tray, just shots, going, come on, boys. And it's got more and more crazy. I said, I'm going to go and get some food. And I came back down the street, and it was just carnage. Like, our singer was going up the road on the back of this motorbike with this guy like going, get off. Our manager was just turning around, being sick everywhere. There was a fight going down, and I just seen one of the guys getting kicked out of the bar. I was like, what's going on? So it just sort of escalated into that. I was going to another bar. I was getting kicked out of that bar, and I said, right, I'm going back to the bus. And me and the guitarist went back, and we just sort of woke up with this police dog in our face on our butt, like in my bunk, going,
wow.
What's going on? Get off. And we got put in the cells for
just fighting then, basically.
4 or 5 days. Well, it was like not fighting, it was more vandalism.
Oh, right.
Which I didn't really know anything about, because we got to the cells, and we all got put in different cells. They're all separate. And the next day we sort of woke up, and I was like, who did it then? And no one could remember. So
wow.
we were there going, I don't know what we've got to do. So it ended up our manager had to like pay €1,000 each, which was there was like 9 of us, 9 or 10 of us
wow.
to get out. But we were there for 4 or 5 days, and they threatened us with proper jail sentences. So our manager's like, right, let's just get out of here. This is getting a bit too much. But in a cool way, we got loads of press out of
that. Yeah, I bet, actually.
So, but yeah, it's just, we were just young and just stupid, I think. But then we just thought, well, you know, we thought we were rock stars back then, so we were just throwing tables out a window. It's like 5-story window, just stupid. So we just do it because it's like, yeah, this is. I remember our manager just crying, saying like, you can't do this anymore. You're literally killing me.
So I was going to say, that particular manager then, was he the one who was with you since the start? Or
yeah.
you put up with a lot of shit.
Yeah, and like setting fire to tour buses, and like we did everything we possibly could in them 5 years of just. I think that's. I mean, to be fair, it was our own fault why we got dropped by our label, because they just couldn't handle us. Because
That was why, was it, mainly?
I think so, because we were just out of control.
Yeah.
We just loved to have a party and do stuff like. I mean, that whole table throwing out the window incident. That was when we were on tour with Slipknot.
Really?
And it just because it was like just carnage. So we're like, and it was me and the bass player. We were really drunk in the hotel room. I said, what about throwing the table out the window? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, what? And it was just like, and I was like, oh no, but it is what it was back. I'm sure other people have done it, but
yeah, people have done
worse. There was a point when you just think to yourself, you just need to calm down a bit and just not be an idiot anymore.
Mental.
Try to, but you're still like that a bit now. But
you're a good boy whenever you're with us.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like that's the thing I always say is we're all quite when we're all separate from each other, we're all quite sort of well behaved and normal people. But there's something about when we all get together. Yeah. So this, I mean, it's definitely has changed in the last 2 or 3 years. It's definitely changed when we've said, look, we need to just treat it more as a profession and not just as going out. Because obviously we don't see each other anymore. It's like a get together.
Yeah, of course.
That's what it used, but especially when we first got back together. But now we definitely treat it a bit more. Well, we have to treat it with a bit more sort of respect, because you never know how. And especially now, our singer is not well in an illness. We need to just enjoy it, because you never know when it'll end.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. But,
you don't want to end up in a Spanish jail again, do you?
No, well, I mean, like
we haven't. Online.
No, well, I mean, it's especially when we got back together, because by that point, I've been working in the music industry, so it was that thing of don't do that, because that will come back to haunt me in 2 weeks down the line when I'm out with another band tour managing them. Yeah. I don't want them to think that I'm an idiot. Like, I've got to be more professional, where our singer, he's only been in Raging Speedhorn and a few other bands. So he's like, no, this is what we're all about. And I was like, no, like, don't do that. And it was sort of, I felt like I was babysitting people a lot more. I was going to
say, you feel like a father to them.
Yeah.
In a way.
Especially when we first started back, because I was tour managing the band as well.
Right.
And doing everything else. So it's that thing of, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, you can do that, but don't do it here. Do it somewhere else, Because obviously, when you work in the industry, you don't want to tarnish your name.
Well, of course, yeah, you need to get work. Well, I was actually going to ask about that, because you've obviously toured most of your life in the band, but then you've also spent many years doing various other jobs, like you mentioned, tour managing.
Yeah,
you do a bit of driving. I guess you've done merch and drum teching.
Yeah,
like, how does it differ than when you're in the band itself? Is it a completely different experience?
It's I sort of get the same buzz from it, really, especially when you go out with a band who you really like as people.
Yeah.
And you see the band growing, and you see them developing as musicians, especially now as well. As I just, a lot of younger bands, they treat it so much like a business from day zero.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd done that in Speedhorn, and I took a lot away from being on tour with them bands when Speedhorn got back together, saying, no, we've got to do it this way, you've got to have to do it this way. Yeah, and I get exactly the same buzz, and probably a bit more, especially when you sort of, when they're playing in front of a lot of people, you can see it going down really well, and you say, oh, that's amazing. To me, it's so good. I get sort of choked up more seeing bands like that, and it's probably because I hadn't done it for so long, and I could see like how I remember how that felt.
Yeah,
we started doing like these big shows. It's this is amazing. It feels really good, and especially when you're tour managing, it feels really nice that you're sort of not making that happen, but looking after the band and making sure they're okay. And
Yeah.
I really, really like it, to be fair. But with the driving thing, it's the same sort of thing, because so even with driving, I can never just drive. I always try and do other things to help the band.
Yeah,
Because I know,
of course.
Bands haven't got a lot of money nowadays like they used to have, and it's nice to help. And I've got a lot of experience, so it's nice to just try and help
Yeah,
as
man.
much as I can, really. But yeah, I love sort of going on to, not as much now, but I used to love going on tour. But now I've got a young daughter, I quite like being at home to see her growing up and
Of course.
like that, But if I've never sort of go back to touring with bands I don't really know anymore, because it's quite sort of hard work, because you go on tour, you get to know a band for 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, a bit longer, get really good friends with them, and then it stops.
Yeah.
And then you start with another band where you don't know, and you have to sort of go through that whole routine of, and half the time it's being a tour manager or a driver. You end up knowing their whole life. It's quite sort of grueling in a weird way. It's like, oh yeah, you just get to know ins and outs of everybody.
Yeah, it's a really intimate, isn't it? It can be a really intimate situation,
It
just being
really
stuck on
is.
a bus or a van for hours and hours on end.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I mean, the one band I toured with a lot was Funeral for a Friend, and that was great, because it became a thing of, that's the only band I really ever toured with.
Nice.
But it was great, but then it was really bad at the same time, because I was turning down really good work to keep with them. Which, in a weird way, I wish I'd sort of spread myself out a little bit more, because the bands now have asked me to go and tour manage, I do really well.
Yeah.
You're just like, why did I not do it? But it's sort of, that's the thing with me, is I get really, if someone's putting their trust in me,
Well, yeah.
And being on tour with them a lot, I think I like staying with that group of people, because I just know everybody then, and it's not.
Yeah, you don't have to get over that awkward kind of
No.
sussing everyone out stage and
Yeah.
them sussing you out, and
Yeah.
because
I find it quite hard, especially if I'm just out. Well, not just out, but if I'm out driving or doing merch or something. Especially if you get a tour manager who's like an asshole kind of tour manager, I just can't get along with it, because I hate saying it, but I'm just like, look, I've done this before. You don't have to talk to me like that. Just leave me to it. If I'm doing something wrong, come and tell me. But it's that sort of, I went on tour with the Professionals, and their tour manager just completely rubbed me up the wrong way, because,
really,
yeah, I mean, he was a nice guy, but it was like, when I go on an aeroplane, I turn left, and I was like, and I didn't really know what he meant. I was like, what does that mean? And I sort of asked the Professionals tour manager, and he said, he means he's going into first class. He never goes into economy class. And I was like, all right. And he just kept on going on and on about like how cool he was. And I just thought, it's not the person for me,
Yeah.
But
That's
you do
strange.
get it. I don't know if you've ever come across anyone like that, but it is.
There's been a few, I won't mention any names, but there's been a few support tours where, like the first couple of shows, we felt like either we had one stage manager once that came across as a complete arsehole from day one.
Yeah.
And what we're like, we know what we're doing. We're really efficient,
Yeah.
more than anyone really, or just as
Exactly.
much as anyone. And like we were, whatever we were doing was still not good enough for him. And I think it's a weird thing with tour managers. They've got like you said, you've done it. You don't have to be an arsehole to get things done properly. You can still be polite and courteous and
I think
just be friendly.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a couple.
I think that
like,
if you get,
we've been all right.
yeah,
Go on.
I think people, and you're not pushing, like trying to put your authority on things all the time. Things work a lot easier. if like in my head is if when you're on tour, you're in a big family, so just just work together. It's just
Yeah.
the best way to do things, because you never know when that support back. If something goes wrong with some equipment you've got, and go, oh, that support band's got that. I wonder if they'll lend it. Let's just go and ask them. But
Yeah.
if you're a complete dick to them, you go, oh, can I use that? And they go, no way, like go away, like you're not using anything.
Yeah.
Or it works in both sort of ways. I think as a tour manager, you've just got to, in my head, is the best way to do it is just be nice and polite to everybody.
Yeah. Totally.
And what's the point of I don't see the point of being rude or a dick to people. I'm not that kind of person. So
exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
You don't. I hate rubbing people up. And sometimes, probably, I have done in the past where you've been stressed, and like a band will come and ask you this most stupidest question in the world, and you basically go, just come on, like use your own head. You don't have to come and ask me stupid stuff like that.
That's all right. That's not. Yeah, it's not so bad.
But yeah.
Nice.
But yes, it is what it is. But I mean, people like you and people like we've been doing it for so long, as we know how things work.
Yeah.
We don't have to be told.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I was quite shocked that one time. It was like, we were relatively established anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just like treating us like little kids. It's just like...
Remember, we did a show with Testament, and they gaffer taped the stage of where we could stand and where we couldn't stand.
Really?
And I thought that was really, the amount of bands we've played with, that's never happened. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, don't touch my drum kit. I was like, well, I don't want. I'm not even going to go near your drum kit. I don't really care. Like,
most bands know. You've got your own gear. Don't touch their gear. That's kind of standard, isn't it? But, and then we'll get it off the stage as soon as possible.
Yeah. The one band who we went on tour with a few years ago, like Skindred, they were so good with us. They'd take all their backline off every night,
really,
and let us have the whole stage. And I thought that was I never expect that as a support band.
That's amazing.
No, we'll take the drum kit off, so you've got enough. And I was like, that's so lovely.
Wow.
But then they were saying, we remember what all that was like. And that's the thing I think sometimes with bands is they forget sort of where they come from. And they, when they get big, they think they're the best. And I always think is you should always remember where you come from and just try and help people out and not be a dick.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing, man. Great advice for anyone.
It is, definitely.
Yeah, man. So talk about the other thing you do. You've got like a van hire company. If you want to give that a little plug here for anyone.
Yeah. Van Morison Tours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been going for, I think I've been going now for 12 years, I think.
Is that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I started out with just a small little, I think I can, like a van like you guys used to have, like them LDV vans.
Yeah.
And just thought I'll try it, because I never knew if it would go well. And it's sort of just gone from there. And it was expanding and it was doing well. And then COVID hit, and then it's not doing so well now.
Well, no, yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, it's been great. I mean, the amount of tours and stuff I've done through that and the people I've met have been awesome. It's nice because I think I'm probably one of the only people in South Wales doing it at the minute.
Yeah.
So I get quite a lot of business. But it was all expanding, doing well. And then this happened. So I'm just sort of, it's a bit sort of hard at the minute, but I'm sure it will pick up. Sort of. It was a shame because it was just starting to pick up again. And then we got locked down and it's like,
I know, it's a nightmare, isn't it? But
it's hard in every aspect of the way, because obviously Speedhorn's got a record coming out. We had all these festivals planned. The vans were doing really well, and then it all sort of just stopped. So, and I'm sure it's the same with you. You're just sitting at home now, going, all right, so what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, I guess you have to try and be a little bit creative with like obviously we've got a record coming out as well. We'll talk about yours in a minute. You can't promote it in the traditional manner of touring.
No.
Which is what were you planning to tour the album release and stuff?
Yeah, we were, but I think it's really strange because we're talking to our agent and our manager, and we're not actually gonna do a headline tour now till this time next year.
Yeah.
Because we're just so worried that we're gonna announce it as next year in May or June, and then this is all still happening, and it gets pushed back and pushed back. Where I think if we say September next year,
hope for the best.
and it's these bands supporting us, blah blah. Like at least it's got a good chance of actually happening.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I want is to be cancelling and all, and like because obviously we've all got families and luckily we all work for ourselves, but it's good to have blocks of where we actually know what we're doing,
of course,
as a band. I'm sure it's the same sort of with you guys now. I don't really know how you guys work, but it's nice. Sort of, I mean, obviously if something comes in which is really good, it'll be like, oh shit, we got offered that, let's do it. But it's so hard because everybody sort of all the festivals are moving their lineup till next year and all that stuff. So it's just, we're not really finding it hard, but it is harder to get on festivals and stuff, definitely.
Yeah, 100%, because you've got a whole year's worth of bands that have been pre-booked for next year, give or take a few maybe.
People are saying, oh yeah, but not every lineup's going to be full. Bands are going to drop off because they've got touring commitments, but there's going to be a million bands waiting on that one band saying no to jump onto that bill. But we'll just have to wait and see. We've got some more festivals to announce for Europe, and some more like support slots in the UK. But again, we're still waiting to announce them because everybody's sort of saying, are they going to happen then? Are they not going to happen then?
Well, no one knows really, and I think you have to at least announce these shows. And I think people understand if they don't go ahead because of the COVID thing. I think it's kind of expected. But yeah, they might be that kind of part of the audience that don't buy the tickets earlier on.
Exactly.
They might be waiting closer to the date. So I don't think advanced ticket sales are going to be as high as they usually are, I think.
But people keep on going on about you can't. It's going to last for a long time, but I can't imagine. But I can't see the government letting it carry on for so long. Like, all these festivals and tours, and a lot of people fly in from different countries.
Yeah.
The amount of money they make from the economy, that all these major festivals will be sort of pushing the government now to say, right, what's going on?
Yeah.
We can't live. We can't, because if a lot of these festivals, especially like Glastonbury and Download and all that, they won't be able to, even though people think they make a lot of money from them, they won't be able to keep on saying, oh, we'll leave it till next year. We'll leave it to next year.
No, they rely on the kind of turnover every year, I guess, to
and I suppose as well as these festivals, they have to pay out a percentage to the band, like a 50 guarantee anyway.
Yeah.
So, that's probably why a lot of these bands who are supposed to play this year are playing next year, because they've already paid their guarantee.
Yeah.
So, they're not just going to let millions of pounds just go like flitter off into the sunset, are they?
No, exactly.
I'm sure it's the same with you. Like, even the festivals we're supposed to play this year, we've already had the guarantee. So basically they're having to say, yeah, we have to have you on next year.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, it's working out well for us because it means that we're going to have a busy sort of festival season.
Well, hopefully.
Same with you guys, hopefully as well. But
this year was meant to be our busiest.
Show.
Yeah. Just I know.
It's heartbreaking. I'm not used to just not playing. That's the thing.
No. And do you have anywhere in the house, or have you got an electric kit, or?
Yeah, I've got like a built-in sort of room downstairs.
Nice.
But it's really cool around here. No one really sort of bothers us to. I've never had a complaint yet. I've actually got my real drum kit set up now.
Oh, nice.
I had a go on it the other day when my wife was up in the office, and I said, "Could you hear it?" She said, "Oh no, not really." I said, "Thank God for that."
Oh, wow.
It's a sort of underground kind of thing. It's sort of it's like a veranda, and then it's built under the veranda, so it's quite sort of under the house, so you can't really hear it. I think
That's brilliant.
the doors go out onto the garden, so I think that's the only thing what makes it sort of not soundproof. But it's got double glazing doors and stuff. But I've never really had a complaint. We had to do like a lockdown video, so I sort of, especially like you've got that Facebook page around where we live.
Yeah.
That's I had to put a thing up saying, "I'm really sorry if you hear drums playing, but it's me making this music video thing." And everyone's like, "Oh, look!" On the street. Oh, wow!
Really?
So,
I didn't see that one actually. I didn't see that.
So everyone thinks like I'm this big rock star now, and like they're chuffed at
Yeah.
But it's really funny because what band you into? Sort of say, and they go on about Rolling Stones or something like, because they're all quite old around where I live.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. No one really sort of tells me off or anything. So that's cool.
Awesome. I'd love to be able to have an acoustic kit set up, man. That'd be the dream. I don't think I can quite get away with it, but we'll see.
You've got a place have you got a place in your house?
I've got like a little outdoor shed. It's not soundproof or anything.
Yeah.
It's like insulated, so it's nice and dry. I've got an electric kit in there at the moment. Yeah. I don't think I could get away with a real one.
Yeah.
I could try it one day, but I just think I'm just pretty certain it'd be too loud. So.
I think that's the thing around where I live is everyone's sort of
deaf.
Quite the guy next door, like he's not even that old. He's probably in his 50s, and you'll talk to him, and he just doesn't. He's like, I can't hear you. I think he wants. I don't know what he's done for his job, but he just can't hear nothing.
Yeah.
So it's quite nice, But to be honest with you, they shout more than they're noisier than what I am. So they're quite relaxed about the whole thing. Never had any complaints. I had the guitar up the other day playing it really loud, and no one cares.
Amazing.
Which is really nice.
Yeah. You struck gold there then, because for a musician, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of people who play. Actually, is it Henry Funeral Shoes? They live down the street from me.
Do they? Well. Right.
There's a guy up the street who's like he plays for this really big, this really famous French singer-songwriter.
Really?
In France. So you never really see him. He sort of flies in and out constantly. You've got you. So there's quite a lot of. There's a couple of guys who play with Van Morrison. They live up the road. Like they've played with him for years. Yeah, I didn't know anything about it till a guy came to the house to do some work, and he asked, "Oh, you got a lot of stuff up?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm in a band." He said, "Oh, the two guys who play for Van Morrison live just up the road from here." I was like, "What?" So, yeah. And they've played with him for years. So
impressive.
Yeah, so it's quite a musical sort of
village
town, really.
No, that's quite cool because I've always felt I've obviously always known about you, and I do know Henry's Funeral Shoe.
Yeah.
I played one show with him a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it's the drummer Ben. I see him about every now and again.
Yeah.
I say hello, but I don't really know him well. But
it was really funny because they played. I was on tour with Groundhogs, and they toured. They were doing a few shows, and they came in. "Oh, you're Welsh. Where'd you come from?" And they said, and I was like, "Oh, you live in the same village as I do." They were, "What?" Really strange because obviously they're not used to meeting people who come from the same town.
No, definitely not. I think they've obviously been together a long time, and I think they're locally known as like the little blues rock group, and they do really well, and they play festivals and they tour, and they got loads of great albums and stuff. So.
That's it. It always makes me laugh when someone puts something up on there, and I was like, "Do they not know that Dane lives in this thing in this village?"
I tagged you in the other day, didn't I?
Yeah, I seen that the other day.
Because you were on. I think it was a few days after you played on the Radio 1 rock show.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, people need to know about you because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And but yeah, whatever. So
It was
cool.
insane. Like the other week, last week, our PR guy messaged me going, "Oh, can you send me over the singles?" Oh, what? Oh, Marianne Holt wants to play it on prime time on Six Music. I was like, "What?"
That's
I was
amazing.
like, "Oh, cool, awesome." So I sort of tagged her in it because she used to play us a lot on Radio Rock Show years ago,
Ah, right.
and so it was like listen to a show, and it's all like hip hop, like house music. And then she's like, "Oh, this is Raging Speedhorn." It was like I was blasting out, and I was like, "That's so funny to think that we're in." I think it Prince, then us, then someone else. And it was just like, "That's amazing."
I love shows like that, man. I think that's what's
Yeah,
good about Radio 6. I think they play
yeah,
loads
and
of
that's the
cool
good thing. I
stuff.
don't know how we've managed to do that, but that we've always managed to sort of hit sort of like that kind of weird prime time sort of.
It's got,
Well, then people, like playing with Graham Coxon from Blair was like with Speedhorn. I never thought that would ever happen in my
yeah,
life, but it
fantastic.
did. And somehow we managed to get to do them sort of things. We did like a sanitary towel advert a couple of years ago,
What?
and it was played in like the cinemas. Like how you get like,
Yeah.
like, it was like played in that
Wow.
for like a couple of months and stuff like that.
I
So,
didn't know that.
which is quite funny. Ben, our old agent, Ben,
Yeah.
messaged me one day going, "Oh, this I can't remember the name of the sanitary towel. It's the biggest brand. Want to come and do this advert with you guys?" I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Sort of didn't think anything about it. Oh, yeah, it's going to be on your last show in London, so they're all going to come down with like this film crew, and so I was like, "Oh, cool." Totally forgot to tell anyone else in the band at that point. So obviously, I was managing the band then, and our singer was like, "Why is this massive truck here?" And I was like, "Oh, we've got to do this advert today." And they were like, "What?" I was like, it's for this sanitary towel advert. It's going to be played in the Odeon and all this stuff, and it just happened. And I don't still to this day I don't know how that came about.
No.
You know, but like I remember Ben ringing me laughing, going, "You'll never guess what." Like, they
That's
want to.
insane.
So but that's the thing. We always say yes to stuff because that's other people hearing your band. But it's quite funny getting messages from people going, "I've just seen you at the cinema like, on a big screen."
Did you ever get to see it yourself? Did you ever get to?
No,
Nah,
no,
that's a shame.
no, gutted. But yeah, it was quite funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
fair play. So let's
yeah.
talk about the new album. It's called Hard to Kill.
Yes.
It's available October 23rd, and people can pre-order it.
Yep.
Is it signed copies and bundles and things?
Yeah, we've got signed copies. It's not. We haven't really done bundles this time because
Okay.
we did our last one on Pledge. It just seemed to be so much of a nightmare. They've just sorting everything out, especially now we're doing it all ourselves. It's our
Yeah.
own record
You're
label.
kind of DIY now, right?
I mean, we're going. It's getting sold through Cargo Records. So they're dealing with the shipments of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
We're selling like merchant, like the album sort of t-shirts and hoodies and stuff on our own Bandcamp page to try and sort of, because we just want it. I don't know. I just find it that's the easiest way to do it. And we get, especially with the merchandise, the money instantly comes into our bank account, which sort of, as your own record label, you need that sort of money coming in to pay for videos and
Exactly.
all that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, so we've got signed CDs, I think I don't know if we've sold out of the signed vinyls now.
Oh, wow.
We sold out on the first hour of when we first put them up. They sold out instantly. Put more
Amazing.
up, sold out again. Put some more up. I think it's like this is the third or fourth time we've had to put more up.
Wow.
So yeah, it's going really good, to be fair, on our own label as well, which I think is, we were looking around and we got a few offers and stuff, but then we sort of looked at how much we were getting to, would we make that back? How quickly would that make it back? And I think we've made that back already on
already. That's amazing. Yeah.
So it was just a no. I mean, there was a point where we were close to doing it until we got a manager in, and he said, "No, you're not signing that.
Yeah.
We'll do it our own way." And I quite like doing it ourselves. You know, no compromises, and we can just do what we really want to do. So yeah, so it's on Cargo, and you can get it from Amazon and HMV and all the same sort of outlets as anybody else. Yeah. So yeah.
What was the process in writing and recording it? When did you do that? Was that pre-lockdown?
Yeah, it was a bit of a hard one because we started writing, then Frank got ill, so we had to sort of stop. And then by the time we started writing again, it was just me, Frank, and John who were in the band, really. So John doesn't really write anything, really.
Right.
So it was me and Frank who sort of wrote the first 2 or 3 songs. And then when we got Andy and Dave in, we just because them guys live in Stoke. Obviously, I live here, and Frank still lives in Corby. So the meeting up point was Birmingham. So we just meet there every weekend. And just started writing there. But we're quite quick at writing songs. We never go in with anything.
Right.
But we sort of have riffs, but we don't sit there on a computer going, "Oh, what do you reckon to this riff?" with a drum beat behind. We're not that kind of band.
Nah.
We go into a room and we go, "Right, what have you got? Right, let's try that." You know, awesome. And that's just the way we've always worked. We've never worked like all separately. I don't think it works for Speedhorn in that way.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me how they send the riff via Logic and then they put their drum kit into Superior Drummer and record something and send it back. I've never really done that either.
No, but, it's a bit hard for us to do that as well because we all play guitar in the band. There's 2 drummers in the band, so it's like we all sort of write with each other. You know, with Frank especially, he's like, you know, he's so musically minded that you know he doesn't like something. He'll be like, "Nope, do this, that," and it's very quick as well. You know, like, right, this bit goes there, that bit goes there, count in, and like it's, you know, it's like that quick, and it's quite, you know, with Andy, not in a bad way. I think he found it a bit hard at first. Even now, like we had a practice the other day, we came up with a song. You know, it's like, right, let's do it. Right, it goes there. Right, let's go through the song. And Andy's like, "What's the riff again?" And it's, you know, it's like, no, come on. It's just that's the way we've always done it. I think doing it I mean, we do send each other riffs, but you know, it's so funny because like you'll send someone a riff and you think, "Oh, that's a wicked riff," and no one ever replies. They'll just you'll see that people have seen it and no one ever replies to each other's riff.
It's so annoying.
And it's really, I'm like, "Oh, this is a well good riff." Like we're just thinking that everyone just sees it and then, is it good? Is it not? You know.
Is that just when you send the riffs?
Well, it's like everybody. It's so funny. It usually is. Like, "Oh, what do you reckon to this?" Like, rubbish, Gordon.
I think there's always this thing about. There's always a joke about when the drummer tries to write a song.
Yeah.
No one takes them seriously.
No.
Some of the greatest songwriters have been drummers.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's been, especially back in the day, I felt so sort of inadequate to be in Speed, especially as the drummer, because Frank is like so good.
Yeah.
Amazing drummer. And I was like, I hated it, you know. I just didn't like it. And I think I was so green where Frank had recorded like a couple of albums before even Speedhorn. So like, you know, when I went in and like, I got to play to a click track and all this stuff, I was like, what's this? Yeah. And I remember getting told, especially at the first sort of stuff we recorded in London, I was like, go to the pub and come back and we'll try it again. I came back and Frank was playing the drums, but the stuff they recorded was like, it sounded like an industrial band. And it got put on like Metal Hammer. And people would say to me, "Oh, were you on that?" I'm like, "No, I wasn't in the band then." It sounds so bad. I was like, "Yes." It sounded crap. But it made me like go back and sort of properly get my arse in gear and stop mucking around, you know.
Yeah.
Like me and the bass player used to play to just go down to rehearsals, practice together, the whole sort of set and songs.
That's good.
So we just knew that we were tight.
You were tight,
And
yeah.
then, and then when we started going in the studio, it was better,
Yeah.
But I think it's just that thing is, especially when you've been in a band with people who you looked up to, and now you're in a band with them. It's quite sort of daunting, and they were even though they were our age, they'd been around for a lot longer. They'd been on tours and played shows in London. Back then was cool,
Yeah.
So it's like, fuck, these guys know what they're doing. I don't know nothing. I don't know what I'm doing, and I just felt really sort of like all the eyes were on me, and it was horrible. But now
You're right now.
It's really cool because the last 2 albums we were going with Russ Russell. So it's just usually me and the bass player at first. We just go in and just put everything down, and then the other guys come in and layer stuff.
Awesome.
Which is the best sort of. I like it that way where there's not everybody's there, all at once, because I think sometimes too many cooks can spoil it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because the album we just recorded, it was just me and Todd. When I did the drums, none of the other band were there, but that was mainly due to the lockdown. But I quite enjoyed it. It was weird not getting feedback about like the parts and the fills and stuff, but I was happy with it.
Yeah. Well, with Russ, he's very like critical,
right?
Especially with the drums, It's like, and it's really weird with Speedhorn as well because we're not around each other all the time. We sort of have block times where we rehearse, so the drums are never really right. It's like, oh yeah, I could do that bit differently. So then I go into the studio to record with Russ. He was like, oh, what about this? About putting that drum pattern there? Come on, that bit can be better than that. And it's
cool.
Sort of, you get. And the thing is with Russ is, we trust him 100%. He's more like a seventh member of Speedhorn, so we trust him a lot with. We trust everything. He's a mad scientist, He's like the best person. I think he's the only person who really it's really nice when you meet somebody who understands what Speedhorn. What you want. Hard with Speedhorn. It's like it's sort of more like a club, and if you don't fit in, like it's a weird sort of thing, and you need to be respected by us to be let in.
Wow.
And he's one of these guys who's like. He's like exactly like we are, so it's nice to have his input. And even like when we go home or we've recorded the album, he'll send it, and I'm like, "What's that bit there? What's that sample bit there?" And he's like, "Oh, what do you think? I've done this and that." And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that, but it sounds amazing.
Oh, fair play.
So he helps. He not writes with us, but he puts things in. Yeah. I think he puts it in to see if we'll notice for a start, and then if we notice, then he'll go, yeah, put that. What do you think? It's just the best way for us to record with him now.
So you definitely go back.
Sounds awesome as well,
Yeah. So you definitely go back with him.
Yeah, well, I don't think we'll ever record another record without him now.
Yeah, it seems to work.
Well, when you find somebody who you can work with, who's not fight, it's really hard. I find with producers and stuff is. We've had one or two where I feel like you're fighting against them.
Yeah.
And it's, especially back in when we first started, I found it really hard to let go of what it was. When someone goes, "Oh, why don't you try that verse there?" And I'm like, no, it sounds wicked. It sounds good the way it is.
I know what you mean.
And then, but I think my mind changed from that when we recorded the second record. And we were sort of, the guy was going, "Why don't you try that there?" And we're like, "Oh," and we try it off. It does sound better, And from there on, I think we tried it, and then we did the third record with just us, which was a total disaster. We shouldn't have done that.
Really?
No, because it just sounds quite shit, and we didn't really. We thought we knew what we were doing. We didn't know. The second record had to fly over from LA to sort of try and salvage the record, which is quite funny. But and then the fourth record, Larry did that from 100 Reasons. He recorded that.
Ah, cool.
And then we've had Russ ever since then. But it's really weird because Russ comes from the same town as where we all come from.
Right.
And I've never understood why we never just went to him, but I think it was management sort of didn't really get on with him. And it was sort of, no, we're going to try this guy. We're going to try. Realistically, we should have went, no, he comes from around where we live. And he was he's done all the original Wild Heart stuff. He did
right.
That. So he's been around for a long time, He's not just
he's done
idiot from Corby. Or, I can do it. He knows what he's doing. But I think it just, things happen for a reason, and now it's great, and now he's got this really sort of quite a biggish name in that extreme sort of doing Napalm Death and stuff, and working with Machine Head and all that sort of stuff. It's quite nice for us now, because people go, producer from does blah blah blah. It makes us look a bit bigger as well.
It all helps.
Yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors at the end of the day, isn't it? It's like definitely.
It comes down to the songs, and
it's so funny, like when we meet people and people sort of, you don't have to tell me what your name is. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's so weird when people come up to me, how's Daisy? And I'm like going, that is weird. When people know my daughter's name and they know her, like, it's just like, you're stalking my Facebook page. How would you know? But it happens, doesn't it? You just can't help that.
You've lost all privacy.
Probably my own fault, because I do put a lot of stuff up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. There we go.
So, one thing we haven't mentioned, I know you've got a bit of a drum collection going. You've got quite a lot of drum kits and snare drums. What are your favorite pieces you'd like to show off?
The one kit that I've had for a long time is the Premier kit. I don't even know what
it is, which one brand.
Yeah, because all it's got is the Premier sign on it. And I bought it off of this other drummer. He was like, they did quite well in late 90s, early 90s, and I bought it off of him, and he said he had it made for him.
Wow.
So so that's the one kit that I love recording with it. I hate taking it on tour now because it's so old.
Right.
And it's all sort of lumps missing out of it and stuff. And especially some of these smaller venues, I just hate taking it out, especially on support tours. I'll never take it out because sometimes you get asked if the first band can play on it. And I hate other people playing on my drum kit. Totally. Full stop. I don't like it. It's a no-go for me on many levels.
I know,
unless it's like somebody who I know.
Yeah, I guess.
Of course, but even then, I'm like, I don't like that.
Ideally, you don't want anyone else playing it, do you?
No, well, it's just like, would a guitarist let another guitarist play on their guitar?
No, not just. I think in an emergency situation, I've seen it happen.
Oh, of course, but not a dude who you don't know. Yeah. Going, man, can I use your gear? It's like, no way, I always say no.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we first started doing quite well, our manager said, this ain't, our tour manager said, it ain't happening anymore.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. So and I've got I don't know what other kits I've got now. Got a Gretsch kit, which is Sparkle. It's really nice, but I never play it. So I might sell that one.
Is it?
I really want one. I really want a John Bonham replica kit.
Yeah.
But they're so expensive.
What do you mean, like a Vista Light or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
I've been looking, and I found one the other day online, and it was 1,500 quid, and I thought,
that seems quite reasonable for what it.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was like it had the drum was all different colours. It's like a rainbow effect. It's so like acrylic. But I can't go. Well, I want it. I'm not making any money at the minute.
I know. You can't justify it.
So I can't, even if I wanted it, I can't go anyway.
You can't go and buy it, yeah.
No,
I know what you mean. It's so difficult at the moment with spending. obviously you're selling a few records and stuff, but you haven't
Yeah.
got your live income, and
No,
you haven't got the merch sales from the live income.
no.
Like online merch sales are great, and I think you said you've always done quite well with that, but
Yeah.
not getting the merch income from touring, that's
Yeah.
a big hit for us as a band.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely, it's definitely a big hit for us because that's where our main income sort of comes from,
yeah,
even on tour. Because obviously, when you're on tour, you got to pay for sound guy, tour manager,
yeah,
driver,
fuel
you
and
know,
all
all
that
that
stuff.
sort of stuff, and
Yeah,
hotels or whatever. Where that the sort of the fee sort of pays. I mean, we do make money from the fee, but that's sort of, we worry if that that gets
yeah,
eaten away. Where the merchandise is, we make so much money from merch on tour.
yeah,
That's where it's all at, really.
yeah. I think it's
Um,
same for most bands
yeah,
nowadays. So
yeah, which is annoying. But like, it's because, I mean, really, realistically, we don't sort of, the Speedhorn, we make money from the band, but we don't make it if we're not touring.
yeah,
That's sort of the main thing now. So when because we're not signed to a label, we haven't. That's sort of the way we work now. Especially now we've ventured out to be our own label. We've got to watch money even more now,
of course, yeah.
more than anything.
It's all coming out of your pocket. So
Yeah. So yeah, I've got that kit. I've got
yeah,
the forecast drum kit,
yeah.
acrylic kit.
So will you use live now?
Yeah, I've started to use live, but I think the guy's going to make me another tom, because the tom's a 12-inch tom. It's just it sounds awesome for a small tom. It sounds awesome, but it needs to be it needs to be 14 or 13. It's just too small. And I want an 18-inch floor tom as well.
Nice.
But I've just got to, I keep on asking him, and he's like, yeah. And then it never happens, but it's probably my fault because I'm not pushing him.
Yeah.
And I've got about 20 odd snares that I've
20.
got. Premier custom, is it custom classic? I think they're called the hammered one. The one I bought from the the charity shop.
The charity shop down the road. Yeah.
That's one of my favourite snares now. It sounds killer.
So what was the story there? You were wandering around the village.
Just
You popped
walking
into
down
the charity shop.
Well, the day before, my wife was saying to me, "Don't buy any more drums. You've got too many drums. You've got lock up in Cardiff, and it's overflowing into here now." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna buy anything else." Walking down the street, I was like, "What's that in the window?" It was like £10 or something. I was like, "Sure, them snares are worth so much money." I didn't even speak to the woman. I just walked in and walked like on into the window, and the woman was like, "Whoa, you're not allowed to." I was like, "I'm just picking this up." I was so scared in case someone like you would see it.
Oh right, yeah. Well, if I'd seen it,
yeah,
I would have bought it just
yeah,
out of curiosity.
yeah. I mean, it didn't have any hoops or anything on it, but luckily enough, I had all of that in my lockup.
Yeah.
I think they're like, because it's hand hammered as well, metal. I think they're worth like brand new. They're £300-400.
Wow. How did it get there? That's crazy, isn't it? It's mad.
I don't know. It's one of them things. I bet you it's probably been somebody's like son's, and they've just left it there. And someone's like, "Oh, it's been here for a couple of years. I'm just gonna take it down."
Yeah.
The amount of snare drums I've picked up like that through the years. I bought like this Route 70s Premier snare in a charity shop in Cardiff.
Oh wow.
That was like £20, and I think it's like off an Olympic kit, but even like them old Premier stuff now is starting to become quite
definitely. Yeah, because Premier are not technically a company anymore, are they? Or they've stopped producing. They've stopped producing drums, so there's going to be a lot of collectors after that stuff.
Yeah, I think they've got a little like a little unit in Leicestershire still.
Oh, okay.
But it's like you walk in and it's probably as big as my office. It's like nothing there. I think a lot of the stuff gets made in Taiwan or somewhere like that now.
Right.
It's really sad, But I met that Premier kit I've got. The toms just they're massive. They sound so big. I remember when I went in to record with Todd years ago with another band.
Oh yeah.
He instantly said, "Oh, can I buy that off you?" And I was like, "No way."
Did he?
Yeah,
Hmm.
there's no way I'm ever selling that kit. It's the one kit that I will never.
What sizes is that one?
It's 24 kick.
Yeah.
I've got quite a lot of drums with it. It's a 13, 14, 16, 18.
Nice.
But I only use the 14 and 18. But the 18 just sounds like a kettle drum. It's so thunderous.
I'd love an 18-inch floor. I don't own any, but
yeah. But I've got six. I want to start using the 16 and 18, but I'm so used to I've only ever used two toms.
Yeah.
So I find it really strange sometimes. Like when I come to sort of trying to use it, it's just there. I just forget about it.
Yeah, I think you just need to spend time. I remember when I switched from having one floor tom to two.
Yeah.
And I did find it quite fun, but it took me a lot of kind of rehearsals to kind of utilize it and like figure out the fills and how to utilize them both, and positioning as well is another thing. I think I position mine a little strangely compared to other people, but I don't know. But
I definitely, with the setup I use, everyone says I play really strange.
Yeah, I've never sat at your kit. I'll have to,
because my bass drum's really off to the side.
Right.
It's sort of completely facing the wrong way.
Yeah.
But it's just comfortable.
Yeah,
and every tom's really low.
Yeah,
I like everything really low.
I have my toms really low. Everyone tells me, because if I do have to share my kit with someone, they always raise my floor toms by about 3 inches, and I'm like,
that's the thing that really annoys me.
Yeah.
The most out of everything is that people moving things around. I just hate it.
Yeah.
But when I got that forecast kit, the guys had just lent me it for like a tour.
Yeah.
And a band called Feed the Rhino, who are like, they are my friends.
Yeah.
And I said, look, because I know the drummer stands on the bass drum. I said, look, don't stand on that bass drum because it's acrylic. I literally just got the kit yesterday. Yeah. Don't do that. And I come out and he's standing on the kit. And I was like,
that's no need.
I was so annoyed.
Oh yeah, especially if you'd actually requested that he didn't do that. Yeah. That's really
I hate even like our singer. He loves doing stuff to piss me off the best of times.
Todd likes to put his foot up on my bass drum to annoy me because he knows it annoys me. But at least he doesn't like jump off it or stand on it. But he kind of puts his foot up on it and like gives me this look, and I'm like,
yeah. Frank does it. Frank does everything just to annoy me. I think he loves like halfway, like on the last song, he'll just start taking my cymbals off, so I'm left with like no, stop it.
That's funny though. It's good that you can have a laugh, and
yeah, it's good
after all these years as well.
I've got so many drums. I always think to myself, I don't want to buy any more, but then I end up somehow down the line, especially with forecast drums. They're always putting stuff up. Right. And I really want an acrylic snare drum for some reason. I just want one.
Yeah.
I've tried one of theirs out before, and it didn't sound the best, but I just like the look of them.
Just want it. One. I think I'm lucky now since I've kind of turned into a professional musician.
Yeah.
Well, that's questionable at the moment, but I don't buy as much gear.
Yeah.
And I think I used to buy more when I was working in the shop.
Yeah.
Because I had a regular income, and it was, even though I was touring and gigging, it was kind of like a hobby as well.
Yeah.
And I felt like I could afford these things and I could justify them. But also I was surrounded in that world of buying music stuff, music gear, looking at the websites, looking at the catalogs, and it was just like made you want things. But then I kind of got over that, and I realized none of this is making me a better player. None of it's, arguably some of the things are making me sound better or giving me options, but I can only use so much at one time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've got to store it all somewhere. And I still own a lot of it. I did get rid of a few kind of top end kits, unfortunately. But I'm at this stage now when I've been gigging with our white kit for a few years, as you've seen.
Yeah.
I'm like, do I get a nice black one for the next tour?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I've got to be careful on the spending at the moment.
Yeah, because our album's black and gold. I want a black and gold kit now.
Yeah, they look great, man.
Yeah,
You
because
should-
I've never, well, I don't want to slag him off because I'm trying to get one off.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't mind trying them. Is it natal kits?
yeah,
The
yeah,
guys
yeah,
at Marshall.
yeah.
I've only seen the band I used to tour manage had one, and the one he had, it seemed that the hardware and the drums, they sort of, the drums were quite warped and stuff
Oh,
after a
really?
year,
Oh,
and it
right.
sort of made me think, I don't know if I would want to
Mm.
try them, but it might have just been a lower end kit. But
Well,
I've got I would love a black one with like a gold sort of
yeah.
trim around it. But then saying that, if I find one like a Premier one, I would love it.
You'd
But
rather something old.
yeah, but the thing is I'm so used to playing a 24-inch kit. I don't kick drum. I don't
Yeah.
think I could go back down to a 22 now.
No,
So used to do. It just feels different, I
it
think.
does. Yeah, I think it's hard to describe, and because sometimes when we get a rental kit for a festival, they give me a 22.
Yeah,
Sometimes I feel comfortable, and sometimes I don't. It all depends. I think it
yeah,
depends on the skin and the tight and how tight or
yeah,
loose it is, and there's too many variables with drums. So I do
yeah.
prefer playing my own kit. But
We played this festival last year, Damnation Festival in Leeds, and I said to our tour man, I was like, drum kit's going to be horrendous. I was just bringing my own up. He's like, no, just bring up your hardware. It's easier, quicker, and all that. I was like, I'm well gutted that I have to use the kit. He's like, it's just easier. And I get there, and he'd like, somehow he'd managed to get this DW kit.
oh,
It was like, no one else had used it apart me. It was just sitting in the back. I was like, I wonder whose kit that is. And he was like, that's your one for the day. But because
nice.
he knew the rental people, the people who had installed all the gear, he got them to bring this kit up. It was like a 26-inch bass drum, and I thought,
Oh,
this is insane. And I don't think I'd ever want something like that. It's too big,
it's too
to be
big.
honest with you.
I love how they sound. I
Yeah, they
remember
do sound amazing.
Todd used to have one in his studio, and
Yeah,
Gretsch one, and it sounded amazing. But it's
yeah,
just too big to carry around, and
exactly.
it's not practical enough, really.
No, it's like that 26-inch ride I've got.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. It sounds insane, but it's just the hassle of, because like you can buy cases for them, but they're so expensive.
Just for one symbol.
So
Yeah.
obviously, I've got it in the back of like the van and the stuff, and keeping
Yeah.
it usually on the bunk part. But then I'm scared it will break hard and I'll take someone's head off, or
Yeah.
and it just sits there until, because I'm never allowed to use it. It's just a backup in case I break
Yeah.
symbol. And like, when I bring it out, everyone's like, "Oh no, here we go," because it's like a gong. Like you hit it doesn't stop.
So it's this. I was about to ask you about this. You endorse Stag Symbols, right?
Yeah,
And this is what the 26-inch bad boy ride is.
yeah. It's like a mega bell.
Something like that.
Insane thing. But like, I seen it because obviously when Speedhorn got back together, they sent me like a list of you're on the gold list or whatever they called it, so I can get whatever I want. And they sent me this list of symbols. It's a 30-inch ride. That's insane. And I sort of just laughed and I thought, I just want it just because it's the 30-inch ride. I rung Phil up and I said, can I have this 30-inch ride? And he was like, don't be silly, Gordon. No one needs a 30-inch ride.
I didn't know they made a 30-inch. That's insane.
Yeah, it's huge. I've never seen it, and I thought, I just want it. The only reason I wanted it is just to walk into practice with it and go, look at this boy. But then, like, I said, okay, well, can I try one of these 26? And he was like, he was reluctantly okay, I'll send you one out.
No.
And got to practice, and obviously practice rooms ain't the biggest practice rooms.
Yeah.
And I walked in with this thing, and everyone just like, right, put that back in your car now. You're not using that thing.
That's amazing.
But it's, even with Speedhorn, it was just so like you just hit it once, and it just go over everything.
Because I used to use those symbols, and like the biggest I had was a 22, and they were still loud, man. They were super loud. Was it Mira series?
Yeah, that one. I used them. I can't remember the name of them. Genghis or something.
Genghis or something, is it? Yeah.
I use their hi-hats. They sound amazing, but the crashes, they're more like a for jazz musicians, I think.
Yeah, they're
So
not good then.
they just don't
For you.
cut. And the thing is with Speedhorn is, you know, it just needs to cut through
Yeah.
more than anything. And being a hard hitting drummer, I'm always breaking cymbals, so it's nice to have a company which they look after me really well.
Yeah.
Phil's amazing. I don't know if that's who you dealt with, Phil.
Phil Woods, yeah, great guy.
He's a great guy. So it's nice because then obviously because they're a part of Remo as well, you get a good deal with Remo skins as well. So
Yeah.
obviously it's a great. I think these bigger companies, they just don't. If you're not like a big famous act, they won't sort of touch you really. And I'm quite. I don't want to pay for cymbals.
Well, no, well, you've got it. You're happy.
And I'm not just with Stag because of that. It's just I had a Sabian deal before I went with Stag, and I was,
right.
You know, I tried them out and I thought they were amazing. And the thing is with me is they're a smaller company. If they look after you,
yeah,
you sort of. I talk, you know, when I go out and tour manage, the amount of bands who use Stag or got Stag deals through me saying, "Oh, check them out."
Yeah.
And that Stag have obviously got money from them down the line, so I think that's probably one of the reasons why they've kept me on as well.
Well, yeah, they look well.
You know,
at the end of the day, your band is still doing cool stuff, so
yeah,
you're probably one of their biggest endorsees. I would have thought so. It's cool, but yeah, if you
I mean, it's your preference as well, isn't it? Of what you like. I mean, the thing. I mean, one thing with and I'm not slagging them off is when cymbal can sound awesome and another one it just doesn't sound as good as
so not as consistent.
But I mean, it's so sort of if you know,
if you're not paying for them.
But yeah, and if your ear's not in tune with it, you don't really notice, you know.
Yeah.
Too much. But I mean, they've been great with me. I've been with them for like 7 or 8 years now.
Great, yeah.
And they're awesome. So
I don't
see people keep on saying to me, "Go to Sabian," and I'm like, yeah, that's all well and good, but I don't. I mean, like the old drummer from Funeral, he'd just be constantly chasing Sabian if he broke a cymbal.
Yeah,
I need a cymbal. I need the cymbal, and like the worst thing as a drummer, I think, is playing with broken cymbals. You know, it's the worst. It's the saddest thing in my life is when you're playing and you go to hit a crash and it just fizzes and you're just there going, oh.
I know. I had a bit of bother on my last tour, unfortunately, and
oh really?
They'd come to the end of their life and they broke at like the start of the tour, and it was a bit of a logistical nightmare to get a replacement sent out. But there was one I did get sent out to one of the shows, which was nice, and then I had another one go a few days later, and I had a few spares. I had lots of spares, and then my spares were old.
Yeah.
And then they started breaking. I got to the point where I had one crash cymbal that wasn't broken, I think, for the rest of the tour. But now I've learned from that now, and I've invested in so I've got a spare set of new cymbals.
Yeah.
So I've got my main set, and I've also got a spare set of good new cymbals, newish.
Yeah.
So I'm not using 10-year-old cymbals as spares because they're just going to break as well.
Have you got what cymbals do you use?
I'm using Paisty at the moment.
Yeah.
And I love them. They're amazing. Yeah. And one thing about them is they are very consistent. So if you get a replacement, it virtually sounds exactly like the other one used to sound, which is fantastic. When you're used to a certain tone, night after night, you can kind of replace that. But yeah, I've kind of just learned it is a bit of a logistical problem to get them out. And because I deal with like the UK distributor, and then I think I was in Germany at the time, and it was just like to actually time the delivery to land in that town on that day and guarantee it and make sure the venue were open to take it in. That's
a good thing with Stag as well. I've been on tour before and I've broken like couple of cymbals, and they've just said to me, go to this shop
Oh, that's cool.
in this town. I'll get in contact with a guy, and sort of
Nice.
walked in and swapped him over,
That's brilliant.
which is amazing.
That
you
is
know.
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
And I think in Europe as well, because they're a European-based company. I think
Yeah. Belgium.
Belgium-based,
Yeah.
they're all over the place in Europe as well. I think if you went further afield, I don't know how easy it would be to get them, like in
Yeah.
America or
Yeah, that's a good
somewhere
point.
like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, even like when I was with Sabian, it was amazing. The guy who I dealt with, but he left, and then it all sort of started going to shit, really.
Yeah.
But the rep who I dealt with there, a guy called Jerome Marcus, he was the best dude ever. Like you'd ring him up and say, I need this here, and it would be there.
Wow.
Like, I remember being in Japan and breaking cymbals, and I've broken 2 crashes. They'll be there tomorrow, and they'll be like there.
Wow.
And the next day, a guy like from Sabian, whoever in Japan, like would bring him to me. It was amazing. But then when he left, it sort of, I remember he left and I rung up for something, and the guy was like, oh no, I'm not giving you that. I said, well, go onto your website and look at the first drummer that comes up. And when you Googled Sabian, like on their page was me playing drums.
Wow.
And the guy was like, I'll send you some out now. And I was like, oh, I can see where this is going. Like, the relationship's sort of not going to be there for much longer.
Yeah.
So like, and I was like, oh, we're headlining the stage at Download, like the second stage, whatever. Like, come on, I need them cymbals for that.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's all sort of started turning a bit sour, and they weren't replying. And then my friend just said to me, Carl Richardson, don't know if you know him.
I know Carl, yeah.
He said, because he had a deal because he was in a band called Shaped by Fate. He said, just try these cymbals out. They're really good. And I was like, yeah, if like sort of purist, like, yeah, whatever. And I tried them and thought, oh my, they sound great.
Yeah.
It sounded as good as the Sabian ones. So I just sort of got in contact with them. They instantly said, yeah.
Cool.
And I weren't even in a band really then. I'd stopped playing for a while.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And I just said, we used to be in a band, really, used to be with any chance. They said, yeah, 50% deal.
Yeah.
I was like, awesome. So it's like, yeah.
Brilliant.
So I don't see the point in leaving them when they've been
not at all.
So good with me,
Yeah, exactly. You get the support you need, and you like the sound.
Yeah.
So what else?
It's a good relationship, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's like when we went up to that drum show together.
Yeah.
Just hanging out with them. They're just so lovely.
Was it the UK drum show? That one was called?
Yeah, Manchester.
In Manchester.
I love drums, but my God, that was literally, it killed. I remember when we walked in, I was just there going,
it's just
every drummer.
And then they have like 5 minutes of silence, and then you have like 10 minutes of complete noise. It's mental.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I love drums, but I couldn't. Oh God, couldn't be there. The guy from Forecast was there.
Right.
Don't you remember?
I remember you introduced me.
Like, help me, please. A whole 3 days of that.
Yeah, I can't. Doing the whole weekend, man, must be difficult for any of the people on the stands, or whatever. But I guess they have to push their products, so they trying to make money. So
exactly, it must be hard being a drum company or a new drum company or a cymbal company to even break through.
Definitely, 100%.
I don't know how they do it.
No, because the big brands are so established. It must be so much harder to kind of stand out and give people a reason to try your product, or because at the end of the day, they still cost a lot of money, no matter what you're looking at.
Exactly.
They're not cheap, especially at retail.
No, especially if you're a young drummer.
Yeah.
You'll look at who your favorite band are. If you were like me when I was younger, and you'd look at kits and go, "Oh my God, Dave Grohl's playing a Tama or whatever."
Yeah.
That's the drum kit you always wanted to go with.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to go with somebody down the road who's making them out of their garage. You'd be like, nah, come on, I want that kit. I seen that on MTV or whatever.
MTV, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's true though, isn't it? I mean,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I don't know what you were the same.
I guess with me, it's kind of, I always tell this story that obviously I was influenced by the Motorhead drummer Mickey D quite a lot, because I was always going to their gigs when I was a kid, and I used to have a poster of him on my wall, like a signed poster, and it was him standing behind his big white Sonar kit.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I think in the back of my brain, it's like I've always wanted a white Sonar kit, and that's what I've been playing for years. So
Yeah.
but outside influences, I never really looked at what gear they were using. I suppose I probably have done more now, but when I was a kid, I wasn't really looking at brands and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I think that's probably why I like Premier, is because my favorite drummer is Keith Moon.
Right.
And so you know, as a kid, I remember my dad should go and watch this drummer, and it was the first image was obviously him going insane.
Yeah.
That Premier badge was always that thing.
Yeah, man.
And I had first kit was like something really crap. And I had a Tama, and then ever since then it was like I want Premier kits
Awesome.
all the way. I mean, I wouldn't want the newer ones now because I don't think they sound that great. But the older stuff, I think, it just sounds awesome.
You'll have to
I'd love a Ludwig kit. I'd love a Ludwig kit, but
yeah,
I just love I love that Premier kit. It's just, if I could buy that exact kit again, but in better condition, I would definitely get
do
one.
it. Awesome, man.
Definitely. But I mean, like the Forecast kit, it sounds awesome, but it's I don't know if because the toms are really deep on that, it must be that, but they just sound, nothing comes close to that kit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued as well, actually, because I don't know if you've listened, but one of my recent episodes with a Welsh drummer called Bob Richards, he's got like a collection of vintage Premier drums, and what he did, he's bought a lot of them separately and like rewrapped them and stuff.
Okay.
Made them into kits and they're all matching.
Yeah.
But he goes on about the sounds of the toms.
Yeah.
Something special about them.
Yeah, they just sound, because like that kit, I was thinking about getting it because it hasn't got a wrap on it. It's just drum sprayed.
Right.
And I keep on thinking about getting it resprayed, but then I'm so worried about getting it because it's such a because the color. I've never seen a Premier kit that sort of color before.
Right.
With sky blue. So basically, it's close to just being white, but with like a.
I've seen the picture actually. I know you mean like a sky blue. You should message Bob. Message Bob. He might know about it, or what year it was, or what range it was. You might be able to identify it.
I think it's like an early 90s kit. I thought it was a 60s kit, but the 60s kits had that sort of screwdriver-y kind of lug.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But yeah, I think it must be early 90s. But yeah, I've never heard toms that sound like that on any other kit. They're just so big. They're massive. I mean, awesome. Every album I've recorded, every record I've ever been on with that kit, and every time people have said that kit sounds insane. You know, but it's not even a heavy kit, right? I don't even know what wood it's made from. It's quite light, but it's just so boomy.
Yeah, well, the thinner shells, surprising that they can provide some of the deepest tones or the biggest tuning range. The thinner the shell. I think it's the thicker the shell, the more volume. But in terms of tone, I think the thinner shells are meant to be better. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not an expert.
But then that acrylic kit, it sounds the floor tom sounds amazing. It's so big.
Yeah.
They're just really heavy. You know.
Physically heavy. Yeah.
Especially when you've got them in them big sort of hard cases. They're insane.
Because they weigh a lot on their own, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Awesome. Let's we come to the end now then. So this is the question I ask everybody. If you could make your own dream band with yourself on the drums, who else would be in the band? But you're not allowed to use members of Raging Speedhorn.
Okay.
And the members can be dead or alive.
Oh. How many members can it be?
Whatever you want. Whatever you want. Create your dream band. I don't care. As many instruments as you want.
Oh my God. I think I'd have Robert Plant as vocals.
Nice.
Tony Iommi on guitar.
Class. Yeah.
Oh, who else could I have? Bass players. I think I'd have Ed Whistle from from the Who on bass, because he's like an insane bass player.
Yeah, he's meant to be really good, isn't he?
Yeah, he's come out. If you listen, I've got a DVD of all their stuff, and they've isolated his bass tone and just bass playing. It's insane.
I have to check it out. Admittedly, I've never listened to the Who a colossal amount. I remember when I was a youngster, my dad gave me, was it the Who's Next album or something?
Yeah.
And so I'm aware of that, but I haven't really listened to much else.
Yeah, I think they're a band you either love them or you hate them.
I don't hate them. It's just I never gone into them as much, and I've heard some of the singles and stuff.
Yeah,
but it was. I think at the time when I was a kid, it was just like, oh, this. It was more because it was an old-fashioned production, obviously, because it was old, and I was just like, and I was at the time I was probably listening to like new metal or something, and I was just like, I don't really like this. But then is when I hit my 20s and stuff, I kind of got into Zeppelin and Sabbath and all the older bands, and I really appreciate it now. But I've never gone back to revisit the Who, but I will.
Yeah, I think like Zeppelin for me is just literally, I don't think you can beat that band.
No.
There's no, but I find it so cool how back in them days is all them sort of, but they all come from the UK, you know.
Yeah, all of them.
So cool to say. God knows how it happened.
Yeah, but, exactly. Yeah, because I'm not to diss any American musicians, but there were a lot of big American bands, but they were all influenced by the British bands.
Yeah,
there might be a few I've mistaken, but because all the British bands came out in the 60s, didn't they? And but then you could say they were influenced by American music.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, same old discussion with Ringo. I think Ringo is like an amazing drummer.
Yeah, man.
I think he's so underrated as a drummer.
He's like one of the idols for like this podcast. Obviously, it's called Drum for the Song, and he's got his own unique style, but he never kind of tried to show off or overplay. And you listen to those Beatles records, and they're some of the most popular songs ever and will ever be. They were,
I think some drummers sort of, they think that you need to know every paradiddle under the sun and, you know, be a show off kind of drummer where, you know, to me, I like drummers who are really solid and keep the band just really sort of together. Where some drummers, they're just all over. I mean, like Keith Moon, I love him, but he's just all over the shop. And when you listen to him like on record, you're like, he's all, like, how are they keeping up with him? Because he's just goes off on a tangent.
I think that was one thing I thought was quite strange when I listened to that Who album, because I guess I hadn't really heard the drumming being as busy as that before.
Yeah.
And I'd obviously been playing drums for many years at that point. And I was just like, why is he playing so much? Because I hadn't been like taught or heard anyone. I guess the busiest drummer I'd probably ever heard at that point was like Travis Barker.
Yeah.
And he is quite a busy drummer.
Yeah.
For the most part, it fits in with Blink.
It's really on this documentary I've got. They sort of talk about it, and Keith Moon and Roger Daltrey, the singer, they didn't really get on very well.
Right.
They hated each other.
Right.
So like when Roger would like be sort of singing, he'd sort of just lay back and just play. And the minute he stopped, he would like come in as like the lead and just go back to the drums.
Well, that's interesting. I guess he was using it like a lead instrument on the moments where he thought he could. So that's kind of cool.
And to piss off the lead singer, I think.
At the end of the day, I think he's a legend now because of his personality as well as his drumming. And he'll always be remembered. So fair play to him. He's definitely put a stamp on the world of drumming.
Yeah.
And that's the argument, you see. I keep seeing, because I'm pushing all this Drum for the Song stuff, and I see lots of arguments on drum Facebook groups saying, you've got to have an identity, put your stamp on it. You need to stand out from the rest of the band. And like, there's a lot of counter arguments for it. So I always listen to those. But I just think of all the biggest bands, most successful bands, they don't have show off drummers, do they?
No, never really been in. I've never really been into
No.
that kind
No,
of
well,
rock.
no. Well, when I listened to Speedhorn the other day, one of the things I noticed was like, yeah, it's just really grooving drum beats,
Yeah,
and that fit perfectly with what's going on the guitar, and it just helps move the music
yeah.
along. And I was like, that's perfect.
But I think
That's what this
that's
music
through like the
needs.
bands what I listened to back then
Yeah,
was like Sabbath, Zeppelin. I mean, like Bonham's. I mean, he is technically amazing,
yeah,
but when it didn't need it there, he didn't put it there. You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
he's
Yeah,
done what the song needs to do, and I think some drummers forget that.
yeah.
You know, they just go hell for leather trying to do everything they've learned
Mm.
in a room or whatever they've done. And I want to do this, but like, it's the same. Like I've never used a double bass drum pedal, but like,
Yeah, that's
people
interesting.
always say to me, "Oh, what double bass drum pedal do you have?" I've never used one, and
Yeah,
I think it's just through the bands that I've grown up listening to. I've never ever used them.
that's fair enough.
You
Yeah,
know? I mean, I wouldn't mind trying it, but I think I just get bored of it. You know,
yeah.
I don't need it there. You know, I think if I went into a practice room with Speedhorn, they'd literally throw it out the window. They wouldn't
Would
have
they?
it. No,
Yeah,
they just would not. They
yeah,
wouldn't
that's not
allow that
cool. Yeah.
at all. You know, even when I say, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting another floor tom," they're like, "What are you on about?" Like,
Really?
yeah, because it's that sort of
Are they
sort of
the kind of band that, like, for example, the guitarists, do they not use many effects pedals and stuff?
not at all
So it's very
straight. Yeah,
basic. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
but it's that sort of thing of um, the band sort of we listen to, like, no,
Yeah.
so, you know, they don't use. I think they've got like a wah or something like that, and
Yeah.
bits and bobs, but they're not really into that sort of thing. You know, it's all about being loud and beefy,
Yeah.
really.
No,
You
that's
know, it's
cool.
like Andy. It's so funny with Andy because, like, obviously he comes from 100 Reasons, so it's like that he comes in with his stuff, and we're like, "What's that?" Like, come on, like you got to get better stuff than that. And he's
Uh,
just. And today he rang me, going, "I've just bought a new cab," and he sent me a picture. I was like, "Don't show that to Frank because he'll lose his mind."
well, because
I mean,
the size of it or the brand of it.
yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool. It's because he gets a deal with Ashdown. He uses Ashdown, and I'm just there going, "It's just not like get either an orange amp heg or something like that, which is our kind of sound." And he's insistent of using this
Yeah.
stuff, and it's just, you know, I don't know what you guys use on bass stuff, but it must be.
Tyler uses orange.
There we go.
Yeah.
You know, I've
He
been
uses.
telling it was like when he first joined the band, I was like, "Oh, we've got contacts for orange, and I don't like orange." I was like,
Mhm.
"Have you ever tried it?" Like, you know, he's one of these guys who he likes that sound, so he wants to be. And I was like, "But you're not in 100 Reasons."
Yeah, exactly. I can imagine Ashdown. Like Ashdown is a great make,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't think they do the idea for like a noisy band.
No.
Like with Orange, they've all got like built-in
Yeah.
overdrives and gains and stuff on them,
Yeah.
which would be wicked for your sound.
I tell you what's completely different now with Speedhorn is because Andy plays bass with his hand, don't use a pick. And that's
Right.
the attack of that is so much different.
Yeah, I bet.
I would say it's better, to be fair.
Really? Okay.
He's so, yeah, he's such a good bass player. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. I instantly sort of noticed from having Dave, our old bass player, to him, it like so much tighter in
Right.
rhythmic with it. You know, he's an amazing
You
bass
must be
player.
good then, because I would have assumed it'd be easier to play tighter with a pick in general. But I guess if you're a
Yeah.
great bass player,
Yeah,
you
there's
can
some
do it
songs on
anyway.
that new record where they're quite quick and rundowny, and he's watching him in the studio. It's unbelievable, and he
Yeah,
was sort of like first take, and you know,
fair
yeah,
play.
that was unbelievable to see that. And he said to me the other, when I was asking him about it, he said that but playing with a pick, he's a lot weaker
Right.
playing with his fingers.
I guess if he's
You know,
learned playing with his fingers, he's probably got really strong
Yeah.
micro muscles and stuff in his
He
fingers.
loves like Maiden, so like
Right.
that's the reason why.
Fair
You know.
enough. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum.
He's, yeah.
Awesome, man.
Every drummer needs a good bass player. I
Yeah.
would say.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. Now you've noticed the difference moving from a pick player to a finger player.
Yeah, definitely have.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the attack on the strings is so different.
Yeah, I would have thought it'd be softer.
Yeah, he's just insane.
Wow.
He's so loud the way he plays. She's getting like, you know, the heaviest riff on on the new record. Like he wrote it.
Really?
Yeah, which is he's a great guy to have around, and it's so good to have a guy who's done it all before as well.
Yeah.
To a bigger level than we ever did. So it's nice, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's cool. Actually, he's not. Yeah, I can imagine that being cool in that respect. That he's just enjoying it, and he's done.
Especially with Andy as well, because he's been out of like being in a touring band for a long time. Him to come in, and because when he started playing for the band, he was only helper. He said he was only helping us out,
right?
You know, and then like we played like a festival, quite a biggish festival, and he was like, came over and went, "I want to be in the band." Like, you were never leaving anyway. You're in the band. This is the way we had to get you in. But yeah,
class. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, look, thanks for taking the time out of your
worries.
Sunday afternoon, man. It's been really enjoyable to catch up properly like this and talk a bit about drums and stuff for a change. And yeah, and we look forward to the new album, Hard to Kill. I'll make sure all the listeners check it out. And
thank you.
I'll post some videos, and I'm gonna, as soon as it comes out, I'm gonna run to it.
Oh, nice!
I might see you down the park.
Yes. I don't run that. I don't run as far as you up that part. Do you go right to the top? Do you start?
I make it up as I go along. Yeah, sometimes.
You're closer to the horse, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm closer to the horse. Yeah, I kind of start there, and then make my way down, and then sometimes I go back up. But see what happens.
Yeah.
See how.
I was thinking the other day because I went for a run. I was like, I wonder if I'll bump into you, but I don't know what time you go out. What time do you?
I don't know. I don't go as often as I should, to be honest. If I've got a free day, I'll make sure I try and go in the morning, because if I don't go in the morning, I'll find an excuse later in the day not to go.
Yeah. I usually try and go in the morning. I know this is not drum talk, but I usually go in the morning because I like running before I have anything to eat.
Yeah, well,
I feel like when I eat, I feel really sluggish. My legs get really quite sore.
Yeah.
Where when I don't eat, I seem to be able to go for a lot longer.
Well, I was looking into that the other day, whether it's better to do exercise whilst you're fasted or not. And there's a lot of arguments for and against, but there's a lot of arguments for being fasted.
Yeah.
To do with metabolism and energy expenditure and stuff. So yeah, if that's so, I haven't quite decided what I prefer yet.
When I used to run a lot before, I used to have a banana before I went, and that helped a lot. But I think before, like every now and then, I'll have some lunch and I'll go out, like 4 o'clock. I'll go for a run, and I'm like, oh, it just kills me.
Yeah, and
I feel really sort of heavy.
Yeah,
you know, my legs really hurt. But
it must depend on what you eat and how much time you've left.
Yeah,
especially in the middle of the afternoon. There's this thing, it's called a circadian rhythm.
Yeah,
that's like your body clock basically, and in the middle of the afternoon is the time where you're probably going to be most tired.
Yeah,
so that's probably not the most ideal time to do exercise.
I'm tired of the time I've got 3 years.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, that's just one thing I noticed. This is why people have siestas and stuff, because naturally, like, the body kind of is telling you, I want to like traditionally, like going back thousands of years, it's been tradition for humans to have like naps in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But like now we don't now.
Sorry,
we don't now, because like the way society works, and we work and we have working days and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's why you might feel tired.
When we had Daisy, my wife, she read up all about it, and that's the reason why kids snap in the day.
Yes.
It's because of that, because it's built into their body clock the minute they're born. That's why they do that.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's really interesting, man. Really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, look, we've gone off on a tangent now, so
Yeah,
we leave it at that. But
obviously.
yeah, thanks. If anyone wants to check out Raging Speedhorn, do you know what your tags are on social media? Or
I
it's
don't
probably
deal with the
Raging.
tags.
It's probably Raging Speedhorn. I'll be
Yeah.
posting about you anyway.
Okay,
And
lovely.
thanks again.
No worries.
It's been awesome, man. Been nice to catch up. I'll see you down the
Yeah.
road.
Take care, buddy.
Yeah,
Yes, you
cheers.
did.
Ta-ra, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Drum for the Song podcast.
So thanks for listening to episode 9 of Drum for the Song with Gordon Morison of Raging Speedhorn. I hope you all enjoyed as much as I did making it. I've known Gordon quite a long time, but I really hadn't heard many of those stories before, so it sounds absolutely insane what he's got up to on tour back in the day. But if you like your heavy music, be sure to check out the new album from Raging Speedhorn, Hard to Kill, and check out some of their older stuff as well. If you're in a band in the UK and you might want to hire a van, make sure you search for Van Morrison Tours on Facebook so you can inquire about booking with Gordon. As I mentioned in the introduction, please make sure you're following me on social media at Drum for the Song on Instagram and Twitter, or search for Dane Campbell Drummer on Facebook. Let me know if you enjoy the episode. If you're consistently enjoying my podcasts, please consider supporting me on Patreon, where you can sign up for some exclusive content, including bonus episodes, monthly Q&A sessions, early access to the podcast. You can get a shout out. You can get a free ticket to one of my gigs even. So while we're on the subject, I'd like to give a huge thanks to my top tier patrons called the Groove Masters. Thanks to Dean S Monahan, Rudi Pauly, Gareth Richards and Dan Hurst. Cheers, guys. So if you think you might be interested in signing up and supporting me, first of all, I'd like to thank you in advance. The address is www.patreon.com/Drum for the Song. There are 4 different tiers on there, starting from £1 a month, and the top one is only £10 a month, but that's the one that gets you free tickets to my shows and everything that comes before it as well. One thing I haven't mentioned before, but I should really suggest is you should try and sign up towards the start of the month to get the most value out of it, because it charges you at the start of every month. But if you don't fancy paying monthly to support me, that's cool as well. There is an Acast supporter feature that I mentioned at the start of the episode when you're listening on the audio version. You can just send me a one-off payment on there and buy me a beer or a coffee. That's all appreciated as well. I hope you continue to enjoy my future episodes. If you've missed any, feel free to go back and check those out too. And just don't forget to share with your friends and on social media. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it really does help spread the awareness of the podcast. So thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. And don't forget to drum for the song.